Welcome back. We're thinking about the Closing the Gap series and thinking about there's times in our life where we think that there's a difference between where we should be and where we are, and why there's a gap. And I don't know about you, but that gap for me leads to feeling frustrated or upset or anxious or worried or even angry about how I'm feeling about where I am compared to where I should be. So first of all, I want you to consider this week, think about, are there areas in your life where there are gaps? Maybe it's gaps in your learning, in your knowledge, in your understanding. Maybe there's some subjects that you're falling a little bit behind on and you need to do something about those. The question for you is, how can you fill the gap? It might be in relationships where you're feeling, some of your relationships are feeling a bit strained or a little bit struggling at the moment. What can you do there? One thing we can do to close the gap, to make us feel a little bit better about our relationships, is forgiveness. So we can close the gap with forgiveness. We can pour forgiveness into relationships that have gotten a little bit wrong. Now let's have a think about it in terms of what the Bible says. In Luke chapter 23 verse 34, we get the picture of Jesus on the cross. And Jesus on the cross, remember, for something he's not done. He was completely innocent. He was being tried and arrested and beaten and punished and then hung on the cross for the sins that we commit, to pay this punishment for the things that we've done wrong. Listen to the words of Jesus in Luke 23:34. Now Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. Now when someone's wronged you and done something wrong to you or said something wrong to you, it's possible that in your mind and in your thinking that you're thinking, they know exactly what they've done. They did it on purpose. They've wanted to hurt me. They've wanted to make it uncomfortable for me. They've done it on purpose. Jesus had this attitude of, do you know what? I'm going to see the best. Even though they've done things wrong, I'm going to say, Father, forgive them, because they don't know what they've done. Listen, Jesus gave the ultimate example there of for anyone who's ever been hurt unfairly by someone else. Jesus took that on himself and he was prepared to forgive. Do you know what? The people that looked at Jesus and were seeing him dying on the cross, they had a choice in terms of how they responded to his words. If you read the passage in a little bit more detail, you realise there was two criminals on the cross. And one of the criminals said, "Why are you forgiving people? Why don't you just call your angels and take us down from the cross? And while you're there, why don't you release us as well?" They were looking at it from their personal point of view, their personal situation, and saying to Jesus, "Why can't you make my personal situation better?" Well, as we know, and as we read the gospel, we know that Jesus, his death and resurrection, didn't just make our personal situations better, he made our eternity better. He allowed us to have a relationship with God and allowed us to access that relationship in heaven for eternity. You'll also read that the other criminal on the cross said, Why are you saying that to Jesus? Do you not fear God?" He looked at Jesus and said, "Jesus, please remember me when all the things that you've said come true. Lord, Jesus, remember me when you enter paradise." The best gift or the best example I think Jesus can offer to us is this. He gives the example of forgiveness. However you're feeling today, if there's a frustration, maybe about relationships or how people have treated you, fill the gap with forgiveness. So my challenge is this. Think about any relationships that you've had or that you've got where you could go back and offer forgiveness. Do it. See what the effect is. Write it down. Journal it. Make a statement about how forgiving someone else has changed your life. I guarantee it will have changed for the better.
'Cause your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me. And your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me. And your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me.